Hey guys, welcome. In the following video, I'm going to show you how to debug some issues with your contact form sending. So hopefully by now you're using the Flothemes plugin for your emails. If not, I highly suggest going and setting that up. It will save you a lot of hassle in the long term. Flothemes itself allows you to create custom forms for your website. It also tracks the submissions, so there is really no way you can lose email submissions. The only way that you would have issues with your contact form in that manner would be if the emails are not sending. So for example, if the user adds the details here and submits the form and then it gets this nice little spinning icon and there's problems there. So if it just is sending and spinning here continuously, you know you have an issue with your form. It's most likely going to be an issue with misconfiguration. That could be with a plugin. It may just be the fact that you haven't added the email correctly to your Flothemes or your form, for example, or the server itself maybe is not sending the emails. If perchance that the emails are sending from here, then it's most likely that it is going to spam, and it could also be likely that it is getting blocked by your server, and the most likely reason for that would be due to using the user's email as the reply to in the email. So first things first, we're going to go into WordPress, and I'll just quickly show you, if you're using a Flothemes block, how to make sure that it's configured properly so that it's not getting spammed. So log into the contact page, come down to the layout section. You can then click the edit block. Make sure that you have your email added, of course, that should always be present. And there is a little option here, use reply to header. I highly suggest turning that off. If you really need this, then I would suggest setting up an SMTP plugin so that it doesn't get blocked by your server. If you are having issues and you have this reply to header turned on, turn it off, save the form, test it again. If you're getting the emails, you know that's the reason why it's getting blocked. So it's not a big problem if you have this turned off, folks. I use it even on our own site. I just hit the reply to button, copy and paste the user's email into the send area and just update the title and then send it. Sure, it adds about 10 seconds to my process, but if you're not sending hundreds of emails a day, it's not going to be a big deal for you. Now, if perchance you're using Flothemes, so for example you've added the Flothemes in here, then there is a few things that you should be aware of as well. So with Flothemes, you will want to check a few things. Again, reply to header is probably going to be one of those. First thing I would always check though would be to make sure that in your form, so I'm just going to add one here, in your form that you have actually added an email. So if we go into the form section with Flothemes, so again, that was Flothemes, all forms, and then you'll want to check your contact form. So just choose your whatever form that is, and you'll want to go to your form settings. Make sure that your email is set here, and that will be one of the first things you want to do. So if it's correct here, great. Another thing you will maybe want to do, and I do suggest, is changing the email subject. If you use the same email subject all the time, you could also get flagged for spam. One way to change that is to add an ID or fields in here, so that means it should always be slightly different. So for example, name, you can add the name option in here. So to do that, you would go to the field and then you would find the field ID. You just want to copy that, then go back to form settings, and then it says here that you should add percentage signs around the ID. So put in 2 percentage signs, go into the middle, paste that, and that means it will then say a new message from, it will insert the name from my contact form, for example. You may also want to add the subject as well in here. Again, that will make it even more dynamic and will prevent you from getting flagged for having the same message sent to your inbox. Now, you'll also want to make sure that once you save this, so save that with those new settings, again, make sure that the email's there and you have a nice email subject line. You'll want to make sure that you all have the correct settings for that. So go to the Flothemes settings. And here, what I always suggest is keeping the reminder on. This way that we can see if the email has not been read by you. And if that is the case, we will actually send you a message to let you know that the email hasn't been read. Another thing that you'll want to check is make sure that you have the correct email for that here. And finally, enable a reply to email header. Again, I always suggest that you keep that as no, solely because so many people get their emails blocked by having this on. As I said before, if you need this, check out the SMTP option for sending emails. There's a tutorial for that also in this article below. Check it out and configure that as well. So if you come back, you test the form and it works, great, that's fantastic. Your emails should now be sending. Of course, you'll be also collecting the submissions. So in the submissions area here, all entries, you'll be able to see all of those submissions from your users as well. If you're still having issues, then there may be a few problems occurring. First one may be that your server's not sending emails. So what we'll want to do is to test if it is working, and to do that we'll want to use a plugin called Email Checker. So if you go to plugins, you can actually go and add that. It's called Check Email. So if you were to go to add new, type for Check Email, it would be the first one that comes up here. So you can install this, activate it. Once it's installed and activated, you can then come down to Tools, Check Email, and then you can check and send an email. So you can just send a little test here. For example, just send the test email. If you get this nice green light, the test email has been sent, you know that it has been sent by WordPress. There's no configuration issues here. Your server is actually sending the email. Therefore, it's most likely going to spam. If it's going to spam, again, two reasons. The first one I already covered, having the reply to header. So having the person's email in the reply to section may cause one of those issues. The second would be the spam. If it is going to spam, go to your spam folder, check is the email being sent. It will probably come from your email address, so WordPress at yourdomainname.com or whatever that is. Make sure you add that to the approved senders list. If you do that, you should then start receiving your emails. Again, go ahead, test that once you've added it to your approved senders list. Again, you can also see that further down this article where to get that. There's a few tutorials for each type of provider that you're using. If you're still having issues with that, I highly suggest going to your hosting provider and checking that everything's configured correctly there. They should also be able to check the logs and see if there are any issues coming from your WordPress website, and we will be able to see how that looks for you. Again, if you're having more problems with that, do send us a quick email via the support system. We can have a further check for you, and hopefully we're able to get that resolved for you nice and quickly. So that's it, guys. Hopefully that resolves your issues. If you have any questions, do drop us a message. We're always available to help. Thanks.